So we've identified these two get cut with contrast and lining. So let's make sure we're maximizing our efforts. Shatonia, could you go get the straight pants for me, please? So I'm going to lay out move that. Thank you. I'm going to lay out my fabric. Thank you. Flatten it out. Now, I've got waist here because these two are not exactly together. So I can decide if I want it flat, if I got any pieces on the fold, which on sleeves and on pants there are none. If I had some of the fold, I'd rather have the flat fold. But since I'm cutting out pieces that don't have one, I want to maximize the use of the fabric. So I'm lining up the edge. Because I waste all that fabric because I have to, thank you, I have to push back to fit them on there. The next thing I need is my lining. Because remember, I'm going to try to cut both at the same time. My lining, oh, I was lucky. I bought 60-inch wide lining. So you line the folds up together.
And you said this was polyester?
Mm-hmm. It's not the best lining in the world. Yeah, it'll get us through the day. All right, so now I'm going to lay the two sleeves on here. You always want to, if you see how I've got room over here, if you cut on the side where there's no fold, you end up with a bigger piece here to use, okay? So you don't ever squeeze to the fold, you squeeze away from the fold to the selvage. So now I need to feel where to make sure I'm cutting fabric the whole time I cut this. And you know how to take a ruler, measure the edge, and then make sure it's the same distance, okay? To make sure your grain is straight. I tend to do it by eye, but I just showed you how to do it in case you're not comfortable. The reason I'm this far back because the fabric doesn't reach as far as the lining, okay? I'm pinning. And I'm pinning inside the size 16. And I'm putting a pin almost every 6 inches and in every corner. You don't need to pin it to death. You don't want a lot of places where you can go under it, where it can flap around, okay? So now I'm going to squeeze this in here. Remember, this is excess. This is getting cut off. So I'm eyeballing the grain. And look, I got a little funk going on right there, but I think it's okay. You don't ever want your pins crossing your cut line. Because you destroy scissors when you cut through them like that. Now you remember Chad's trick. If I were to use Chad's trick, I would pin a pin through the size 16 notch to remind myself to cut the notch. Okay, in case you're one of those people that cuts your notches off. You need every single notch. You do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
I tend to cut through them with the scissors, yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm like, oh, as I'm cutting through it, I realize.
And that's when you start cussing. Okay, let me
Before
get
I
a pair of
pin
scissors.
mine, I take my pattern pieces and like do it the old-fashioned way and draw my notches in really dark so I know where to cut.
Alright, so now I'm gonna have to cut these two pieces because I don't wanna cut my other contrast pieces with lining. They go with interfacing. So I go to size 16, which is here, and then you cut, putting your blade on the table and bringing the top blade down. Okay, so now I need to know which one is my 16 line. There it is. Okay. So while I've got this cut out, I'm going to mark where it needs to be marked. I have a size 16 dot there. I'm doing tick marks with the scissors. There's my size 16 for the shoulder. There's my size 16 for that. I've got my notch. Here's my easing guide. And then this is where this splits to make the vent for the sleeve. So there we go. That piece is done. It can go in the pile. Yes. And we won't video cutting off